Shalom, family. This is your brother Brandon coming to you with another sit-down lesson. And today's topic, we're going to be talking about brotherly love. And we're going to be showing you how brotherly love applies, not applies, but it's the same thing as loving thy neighbor as thyself, right? And we're going to start in the book of Romans, chapter 12 and verse 10. And I'm going to be going over, touching on characteristic traits of what brotherly love looks like. So that's the first thing we're going to be going over. And this is the book of Romans chapter 12 and verse 10. Be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love and honor, preferring one another. So you have to be kindly affectionate, not just being nice, not just being sincere. You know, those things do matter, but kindly affectionate. That's like when you being kindly affectionate, you loving that brother, you know, as you love your parents or your sibling or your kids, right? You checking on him, making sure he good spiritually, mentally, physically. You know, you checking on his kids, right? You loving his brother like how you would love your brother that you share your parents with, right? That's the same type of love and affection you have to have for your brother in his truth, right? You have to check on him, make sure he's doing good. Check on his kids, right? You know, if you really love him, that's how you would do it, because that's how you would do your real brother. Or your parents, or how you would, you know, love your children. You have to have that same love for your brother in his truth, and you have to honor him as well, right? You know, honoring could be a multitude of things, but I'll just give you a quick example. Say if your brother's fasting and you say, you know, you want to fast with him, you might be like, hey, I'll fast with you, you know, from today's sundown until the next day sundown, right? Right, I think I did. No, that's wrong. Well, just know, we're gonna start today's sundown. No, I did say that right. We're gonna start today's sundown until tomorrow sundown, right? So don't at the last minute like, oh man, you know what? Let's do it next time. Let's fast next week, right? You know, you don't, you know, keep your honor your oath that you gave your brother, right? You say you're gonna fast with him, do a fast with him, right? Don't be out here trying to break the fast last minute. You get hungry, you on your phone scrolling, and you see a burger, and you like, oh dang, I kind of want to go to McDonald's, I want to go to Checkers, right? Just, you know, honor your oath that you gave your brother, right? You said you're gonna fast with him. You know, that's honoring your brother. That's just one example that you can honor your brother with, right? And the next precept we're going to go to is Galatians. And we're going to go to Galatians 6, verse 1 to 2. All right. All right. And it reads, Galatians 6 and 1, verse 1. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such an one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. So, you know, if your brother is at fault and he slips up in his walk, you know, with whatever vice he's dealing with, you know, you got to restore that brother in meekness, you know, with humbleness, patience, and humility, right? And you got to put yourself in that brother's shoes. You don't, you know, think about if you slip up and you have a fault. Do you want brothers yelling at you? Do you want brothers constantly putting you down? Do you want them bringing out scriptures, you know, telling you how wrong you are? No, you don't. You want a brother that's going to be like, all right, you know, you slipped up. Let's come up with a game plan. Let's strategize for the next battle that you might have, and we can give you pointers. We can give you scriptures, and personal experience you might have that you probably have the same vice with that brother. You might like, hey, you probably should do this right here, and you probably should stop doing this. You know, that's what I would recommend, and you know, see how that brother, you know, takes that information and apply it to his life, right? You got to consider yourself when you're dealing with your brother, you know, because you want to be dealt with a certain type of way. Make sure you deal with somebody else that the same way, right? Verse 2. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. So you have to bear each other's burdens, right? You have to, you know, your brother might be going through something, you know, work life putting a toll on him, personal life putting a toll on him, and he trying to keep these law, statutes, and commandments, trying to do the right thing every day. We know every day is a spiritual battle between good and evil. So you constantly fighting every single day you wake up. You know, you might see your brother like, dang, he look kind of burnt out, like eyes kind of baggy. You know, man, he spirit kind of going down. He ain't talking as much no more. He used to be the always, shalom, always, speaking to everybody. Now he quiet in the corner. You know, he's staying to himself. You gotta notice those things, right? You gotta bear each other's burden. You know, go see what's, hey, how you doing? You know, how does the spirit? You know, bear each other's burden. You know what I'm saying? You gotta really, really check on that brother. Make sure he's good, right? And also, if you are the brother that's going through something, don't be prideful. Don't try to, some things in this walk you can do by yourself, yes, but some things you're going to need help with, right? Loving your brother is checking in on him, making sure he's okay, and bearing his burden, trying to help him, trying to uplift him, but also accepting the help. That's loving your brother as well. Because you trust in your brother. You giving him, information on what you're going through. Whether it be personal. You got to trust that brother, right? So you got to love your brother and bear his burdens, but also be willing to be helped. Don't be prideful. Don't try to sit there and be like, nah, I'm good. Just another thing, just another day, right? When you really want to vent, you really want to talk about it, you really want somebody to help you, but you feel like you can't open up because you a man and you don't want to talk about it. Let that brother help you out. Let him bear your burdens, right? Don't try to do everything on your own. Some things you do need help with, right? So that's bearing each other's burdens. And also touching back on, when a brother is in fault, right? You gotta have meekness. You really gotta have patience with brothers, right? Because when you coming into the truth, you don't know when that person came into the truth, right? They might have been, in the world for 20 plus years, 30 plus years, right? And now they finally get the truth. They finally get the bread. They finally get the milk, the meat. And they trying to do the right thing, keep the law, statutes, commandment. You can't expect a person to do a full, not all people, I would say. You can't expect somebody to do a full 180 in their life and, now I'm keeping all the law, statutes, and commandments. You got to be patient, man. This brother been out here 20 plus years, 30 plus years, being led astray. And now he's trying to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. You got to, you really got to have patience with our people, right? They've been doing wrong their whole life, and they just found out how to do the right thing. So you got to have patience with them, man. Get them time. Get them grace, right? Don't be overly righteous. You know what I'm saying? Give them time. And now we're going to go into the book of Sirach, and we're going to see how the Most High, what the Most High thinks about, brotherly love, or unity of brethren, right? And we're going to go to Sirach, otherwise known as Ecclesiasticus, and we're going to start at chapter 25 and verse 1. In three things I was beautified and stood up beautiful, both before God and man. The unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, a man and a wife that agree together. But we really just want to focus on the unity of brethren. See, the Most High, he finds beauty in that. Unity of brethren, y'all coming together on the Sabbaths, reading scriptures, having a good time, keeping the law, and the feast days as well. Y'all, you and your brother going out street teaching with each other, The Most High loves that. He loves to see unity of brethren because the community is coming together. The community is coming together. And, you inspiring the youth as well, right? You might see, young Jakes out there looking at y'all. They might not be saying them, but they watching. They're like, oh, man, look at them. Those are Hebrew Israelites. They out here teaching, trying to bring the people back, doing the right thing, right? People are always watching you. So the Most High, he finds beauty in unity of brethren, right? And the love of neighbors, right? And a man and a wife that agree together. So the Most High, he finds these three things beauty in. He finds beauty in these three things, right? So that's what the Most High finds beauty in. But now, let's touch on, we going to touch on what the Most High hates, right? Because, the Most High does hate. He's a balanced God, right? And we're going to start in the book of Proverbs, and chapter 6, and we're going to go to verse 16 through 19, right? These 6 things doth the Lord hate. So these 6 things I'm about to bring out, the Lord hates. Yea, 7 are abomination to him. And it's the 7th thing, the last thing that I'm going to bring out, the Most High says it's an abomination, right? And you know how homosexuality, the Most High think that's an abomination. So he feels the same way about this 7th thing that I'm going to bring out. Verse 17, a proud look, a prideful person, right? Can't never tell them nothing. Always think they're right, never been wrong, don't want help. Always want to do everything on their own, right? A prideful person, a proud look, otherwise. A lying tongue, somebody who's just constantly lying for no reason, right? A habitual liar. Lying so much that it's become a norm. Like, you might ask them something, they might just lie for no reason. They don't even know they lying, but that's how much they lie, right? And hands that shed innocent blood, right? So somebody who's just killing, without no righteousness to it, just shedding innocent blood, right? The Most High doesn't like that. Verse 18, and a heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, right? You plotting on doing something evil, right? You coming up with a game plan, trying to see, and you also trying to see how you can get away with it. Most High don't like that. He hates that. And feet that are swift and run into mischief. Now, we all know some, whether it's in the truth or when you was in the world, we all knew somebody like this, quick to run to drama. Like, how you used to be in school, a fight break out. You see that one person that always running, got their phone out, trying to get the video so they can post it to Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. The Most High hates that. Somebody who always running in mischief, running in the drama, right? Verse 19, a false witness that speaketh lies. So somebody who's constantly lying on somebody, right? That's really, really dangerous. You can lie on somebody, they can lose their life, right? That's a dangerous thing to lie on somebody. It can get very serious, right? The Most High hates that, somebody who's lying on somebody, right? Because the Most High God knows that as well. And he that soweth discord among brethren, right? So this is the 7th thing. He that soweth discord among brethren. The Most High says that's an abomination. You creating division between, a community or your congregation, let's just use a congregation, for example, right? You creating discord in your congregation. You jealous of a brother because he know how to bring out precepts better than you. His videos getting more views than you, right? So now you going around trying to sow discord, like, man, that Jake over there, bro, he think he better than all of us, right? You see how everybody always up talking about him, how he getting all these views. He always bringing out all the scriptures, right? When everybody, when somebody need him, he just thinks so highly of himself, right? So now you going around spreading rumors, telling lies, sowing discord, causing distrust, in your congregation. The Most High said that's an abomination. He really, really hates that. A brother who's sowing discord, because you spend a part of the community, and our people are already lost, and now you going into the community of people that's really, trying to come back to the law, statutes, commandment, and you sowing discord, you might push people back into the world now. The Most High hates that. He says that's an abomination, right? So all these things, the Most High hates. But sowing discord among brethren, the Most High really, really hates that. That's an abomination to him, right? And staying on the topic of, because all these things, these 7 things that I just brought out, that's showing hate towards your brother. Lying, being proudful, shedding innocent blood, killing somebody, because now somebody's going to want to retaliate. You might have killed somebody's brother. Now you got people looking for you, or they see you part of BOW. They might try to retaliate and kill the wrong person, right? So now you, that's also, that's also another way of sowing discord, right? But, that's hating your brother, right? Shedding innocent blood. And a heart that deviseth wicked imaginations. You thinking about doing evil. You trying to see how you're going to get away with it, all right? That's hating your brother, all right? Feet that are swift, run into mischief. You run into the drama, trying to get front row seats. Why are you not trying to come up with a way of stopping it? Are you trying to go get help? to stop the situation. You just run into it so you can record it and post it on the internet, right? And the false witness that speak of lies, you lying on your brother, right? You telling lies about him. That's not loving him. That's hating him. And we just talked about sowing discord among brethren. Now you creating division, telling lies about him, causing distrust, causing conflict, causing arguments. That's hating your brother, not loving him, right? And we're gonna go to the book of 1 John, chapter 4, and we're gonna get verse 20, all right? And this is how the Most High God feels about you hating your brother, and saying you love him. And this is the book of 1 John, chapter 4, and verse 20. If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother, whom he hath seen, how can he love God, whom he hath not seen? So this one is playing upon tables. So you know them Jakes. They always saying, all praise to the Most High. I got me a new car. I got me a new house. I'm able to pay all my bills. I love God. All praise to the Most High. But in your heart, you hate your brother. You going on the streets with him. You teaching with him. You keeping the new moons with him. You keeping the feast days with him. You seeing him in soldiers class. Y'all doing security with each other. But you hate him in your heart. But you saying you love the Most High God. You a liar. The Most High God says, if a man say I love God and hate of his brother, he is a liar. You don't love me. I'm not saying I'm the Most High God, but just putting it in context. The Most High God like, man, you don't love me. You talking about you love me, but you hate your brother. And you on the streets with him every Sabbath teaching. You in security with him. You in soldiers class. Y'all waking up, heading to the school. You riding by looking at him like, this nigga, man, look at him. You hating him, but you talking about you love me. Most High God says you a liar. If you doing that, you got to check your spirit, man. You can't be out here saying you love the Most High God, but hate your brother. Somebody you seeing all the time, right? But you ain't ever seen the Most High God. You know what I'm saying? You a liar if you saying that, all right? And now we're going to get to the book of Matthew, and we're going to go to chapter 22, and we're going to get verse 37 through 40, right? And it's going to close out the lesson, just to show you the importance of why you also loving the Most High God and loving your brother, right? We're going to see why, why is this so important? And this is the book of Matthew, chapter 22, verse 37 through 40. Yahushua said unto him, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. So the first and greatest commandment is loving the Most High God with all your heart, all your mind, and all your soul. Verse 39. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So you have to love your neighbor as yourself. That's loving your brother, right? That is the second and greatest commandment. Verse 40. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. So if you keeping these two commandments, the rest of the laws hang on these two commandments. Loving the Most High God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind, and loving your neighbor as you love yourself, loving your brother, right? So if you're doing these two commandments, the rest of them, they hang on these two commandments, right? Because if I love my brother, I'm not going to sleep with his wife. I'm not going to steal from him. I'm not going to be covetous, want what he has. I'm going to love him, and I'm going to love him as I love myself. And, first, loving the Most High God, that's the most important of all, right? Loving the Most High God with all your heart, soul, and mind. So if you're doing these two commandments, you can do the rest of them as well, right? And that's going to close out the lesson, family. I pray you was edified. You took notes if you needed to, and you learned something new. And this is your brother Brandon closing out. And I say shalom, family. Until next time.